Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday, and welcome to Create with Us. So I'm excited to be here with you guys today. If you don't know me, I'm Holly, and I am with Handcrafted Blessings. I work closely with Karen and Tim, and sometimes when they're traveling or taking care of stuff, I pop in here and get to create with you. So super fun. We're gonna make gosh, I don't know, multiple cards today. I have a fun little layout to show you guys today. It's called a faux ribbon card. I think a faux ribbon weave, maybe. I'm just making up stuff. The hardest part of crafting for me is remembering the names of techniques and layouts. I know what I'm doing, but I don't remember what it's called. So I just make something up. So welcome everyone who's coming in. It's so fun to see you guys today. Oh, Sheila, I hope you're doing okay. Tennessee, you guys look like you got hit so hard with the ice and all that. So hopefully you have power and you're doing okay over there. So yeah, there's just like an Arctic blast walking through the country. Strolling, it feels like it's taken forever to go by. So and prayers for Minneapolis, absolutely, what is happening there. So thank you for the birthday wishes. There's no better place I'd rather be than on live with a bunch of other card makers. So thanks for joining me for this. All right, so we are going to pop in here to our desktop. There we go. And we'll make our live. So I sent out Karen's newsletter yesterday. I was a little late because this was last minute for me to take over Karen's live today. And so I was trying to figure out, well, what do I want to do today? What kind of card should we make? So I sent you guys the supplies yesterday, but in case you missed it, we need a card base here, 5.5 by 8.5. And then we need a piece of cardstock here, measures 2.25 by 5.5, and then a piece of basic white, or you could use vanilla if it looks better with your color choices. But my white is 2 by 5.5, so both of these are the same height paper. And then we're going to need some designer series paper strips. Now I've given a measurement of 1/2 inch by 6 inches. The 1/2 inch is what's important. The length, not so much. Just grab your scraps, okay? As long as they're 1/2 inch strips, you can mix and match with whatever length you have, because we're going to trim them, as we need them. So, yes, we are going to craft, Catherine. Okay, so, and then I do have an insert because I have a sentiment ready for the inside. So I've got my 1/2 inch strips, and I am going to take the, well, I'm going to go ahead and cut them all. So what I'm going to do, just to make it easier, I'm going to cut them roughly in half. You don't have to. You can leave them long and you can trim as you go. You'll see how I lay these out in just a second. All right, so we've got our hearts, and then I'm going to do the same thing with these red ones. So I've got 4 strips here. In the supply list, we said to have 8 strips, so 4 of each pattern. So I'm going to move this out of the way. Oh, you know what? I should show you what we're making. There's where we should start. How about that? So I am doing this layout right here. So you can see our ribbon weave, well, faux ribbon weave, because it's designer series paper, over here on the edge. And then it says cherish forever on the doily. So that's where we're headed. Okay, so what I recommend doing for this, in order to line up your strips, I've taken a piece of grid paper here, and all I've done is I'm using the 1 inch line on my grid paper. And I've used a Sharpie to make it a little bit thicker just so that you guys could see it more easily on video. But there's already a dark line at the 1 inch mark. So I'm just gonna put my white here and I'm lining it up. The top is at the 1 inch line, okay? And then every Sharpie inch goes, every Sharpie mark is down 1 inch, okay? Now you can draw it on your basic white piece of paper, but you don't have to. You can just use your grid paper to align these. So we'll take our red ones. You can see this is front and back of the same piece of paper. I'm just gonna lay these out here and grab some adhesive, and I'll just apply adhesive to 6 or 7 just to start with. Because mine are nice and short, I'm going to be able to do my whole strip. If you start with longer strips, you're going to trim them as you go. So what do I mean by that? We're going to start with our upper left corner, the first Sharpie line, and we're going to go diagonal to the second Sharpie line. So I'm just going to lay my strip on here. Now, if you have a 6 inch strip, as you go, you're going to be trimming along the side of your white so that you have enough strips to get all the way down your paper. But that's why I cut them in half. So now I'll go from the second one on the left to the third one on the right. So we always just kind of go down one Sharpie line, and you want to make sure that your edges are over your white paper. Because if I do it like this, the pattern is not going to work out quite as well. So Luis, the supply list for Create With Us is sent out through Karen's newsletter. And normally I send that newsletter on Tuesday mornings, but I was delayed this week. And so it went out yesterday. So you can always go to KarenTitus.com and make sure that you're subscribed to her newsletter. Okay, so I've done the main lines, but I also want to do my last Sharpie mark. I'm going to eyeball it and put it on the corner here. And I'm going to do the same thing up top, just so I have relatively even spacing between all of my strips. So now I'll just take this and I'm going to peel it off my grid paper. I'm not worried if the grid paper rips a little bit. It doesn't affect my design. And I can go through, and I'll show you a different way on the second card, another option for how to apply all these strips. But we're going to do this one pattern at a time for this card. So I'm just going through, I'm keeping my scissors right along the basic white because that helps me to cut straight. And I'm just trimming each strip. And because they have a little bit of adhesive on them, they're all sticking together here on the side of my scissors. There we go. Okay. And now I'm going to put that right back in its spot. And we'll come over here to our next paper. Over. And we'll add some adhesive here. If you want to use glue, what I would recommend is that you put your little 1 inch hash marks on your white paper, because then you could put the white paper on a silicone mat and you could use glue to adhere your strips. I wouldn't use glue on this grid paper because your glue is gonna make a disaster of your grid paper. All right, now we're just gonna go the opposite direction. So the first time I always started on the left hash mark. This time I'm going to start on the right hash mark. So I'm gonna start from the top right, and we're just going to go from one line to the next. watching to make sure that all of my papers overlap the edge of the white. Oops. There we go. And now we'll do our corner pieces. Okay. So one more time here. And then we'll just take our scissors and we'll trim off those extra pieces. There we go. You could use a trimmer for this too, but I really don't want to get all this adhesive on my trimmer. I'd rather get it on my scissors because they're a lot easier to clean off. I have a designated pair of scissors that I do sticky work like this. And then I just periodically clean them off with lemon oil to get that stickiness off. And it makes my craft room smell good. All right. So we have our faux ribbon weave here. Let's see if I can show you guys a little bit up close what we've got there with our strips. Now, before I finish adhering this card, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you actually a slightly quicker way to do it. So once you kind of feel comfortable with how this this layout works, we are going to take this. I'm going to take all of my strips all at the same time. And I'm just going to chop these in half again. There we go. And these are front and back of the same sheet as well. Let me move this out of my way. So just going to spread these out here. And then let's see. Need some more of the pretty peacock one. So then I can just, in this case, I'm going to add adhesive all at the same time. Let's see, we need this one. I think that's enough. Oh, we might need one more pretty peacock, so we'll just set that there. Okay. So in this case, like I told you, this is a little bit quicker way to do what I did the first time. So I've laid out all the pieces that I think I might need. And we're just going to apply adhesive to all of them. So just putting a strip of tape down the middle of them. My white is still the same size. It is the, let's see what I say, 2 by 5.5. Got a short little pretty peacock one here. And this time, I am going to do all of my strips. So instead of doing one in trim and then the other one in trim, I'm actually just going to do them all at the same time. So we're just going from 1 inch to 1 inch. Let's see here. I need my bottom corner and my top corner. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and go back through because on my grid paper, I can still see these dark lines. So I know exactly where to line mine up. And I can go through and I can quickly create a whole bunch of these strip pieces. There we go. And last but not least, so here we've just applied them all at the same exact time. So let me just peel that off. Again, we don't care if we rip a little bit of the grid paper, it's not going to hurt it. And just set the grid paper aside because we're done with it for now. And then now I can just go through and trim everything at the same time. So it's just a little less, one less step, you know, because I'm not trimming the first half and then taping the next half. So as you get comfortable putting down your strips, I think I made 3 or 4 of these right before the video, in like 20 minutes right before this video. So then we'll just trim all these off. There we go. And we have our nice little faux ribbon weaving. Okay, get that all off my fingers. So here we've got some woven pieces. So so there we go. So we're just, meant to look like we are weaving our ribbon back and forth over a piece of paper. So then what I'll do to finish this off, we'll go back to our Valentine card. I'm going to use Flirty Flamingo and Real Red, and I'm just going to adhere these together. So my Flirty Flamingo was 2 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it's going to go all the way top and bottom of my Real Red card base. And you know what? I didn't mean to stick that down because I want to do one thing before I stick it down. So I'm just going to peel this off really carefully. It's fixable. Okay. Before I put that down, I want to use one of these doilies, and I wasn't exactly sure which color I wanted to use. I think I want to use the light color. You know, you can always turn these over too and use the white side as well, but I think I'm going to use the lighter pink one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this doily. We'll just set the red one aside to use for another card. And I am just going to cut right through the middle. You can do this with your scissors or your trimmer. The cut edge is going to be hidden, so it doesn't have to be, you know, exact. Okay. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this sticking out behind my panel. So for this, I'm going to use a little bit of glue. And I'm just going to put some glue here where it's not going to be in my way. I don't need a whole lot because this strip is going to hold it down. I'm going to freshen up my tape here since I peeled it off before. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of hover my cardstock where it's going to go so that I can put down my doily first. Press that down. And now we can set our strip right over it. And that strip's going to help hold down your doily too. So that's why I didn't need a whole lot of glue for it. On my inside, I am going to put the rest of the doily. And if it's crooked, we'll just trim it off a little bit. So we'll add a little more glue here in spots that'll work. Put it right over here at the edge of my paper. And I'm going to be using Happy Valentine's Day. Little piece of ephemera words. Now I'm gonna let this dry for just a minute, and then I'll come back and trim it. Trim off the excess before we put it on the inside of the card. So on the outside, I'm going to use the ephemera, and that says you. Oops, here we go. You and me. So we're going to take this, and we need some, because while the words look kind of big, they don't have a lot of spaces for you to put some dimensionals. So we'll just add our mini dimensionals here And it just happens to come in the Flirty Flamingo and Real Red that I've chosen for my my color combination. So just peel all these backings off. And let's see, that backing off of there. This is why backings show up in all the most random spots, right? Places you've never crafted, but you find dimensional backings. Has that ever happened to you guys? Those random places you can find a dimensional backing. All right, I'm going to start with and. I'm going to put that in the middle. And then we'll do you and me. There we go. All right, and I'm gonna finish off here on the outside with some Pearls of Beauty. I like the white ones here. And I'm just gonna kind of round them out down here at the bottom, kind of following the shape of the card. So let me turn this over and I can trim off the back of my doily because it was a little bit crooked. And then we'll add this to the inside of our card. And of course you could mix this up and do it for any occasion, just depending on the strips that you've chosen for your card. So let's see here. So there is our first one, you and me. Happy Valentine's Day. And then our second set of strips that we did with the pretty peacock here, I'm going to take Lost Lagoon and we'll add our 2 1/4 to the back of our woven, our faux ribbon layers. And then I'm going to put it on Pretty Peacock. There we go. Okay, and then I thought I would come through here. You know what? Let me go ahead and close this. I don't have an insert for this one, so we'll just do the front of it. So in one of the ephemera packs, I found this, and it's actually like a 3-piece frame. So there's the kind of scalloped frame, and then there's the oval, and then there's this greenery. I'm just going to pop out the greenery here, which is actually gold, but so I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to add some adhesive here. And we're going to put our oval here. And I'm going to use some dimensionals for our ephemera tag and then also for this leaf. Just going to stick the dimensionals in the busiest part so that they won't show too much. There we go. Because I just kind of want that leaf to pop up out of the frame. And we'll see a little bit of the pretty peacock border behind it. And then we'll add our words here. There we go. And once again, I could, since these white ones are just sitting here, I am going to follow the curve of my oval again and add my embellishments. So here's a couple. And I already showed you my sample with the, let me put this blue out of the way. Here's the Cherish Forever. And then I also did some more like monochromatic type. So this one, using the Balmy Blue strips, 2 different designs, but both Balmy Blue. So it keeps it a bit more monochromatic. and adding the Easter basket and Happy Easter. And then the front and back of the same designer series paper. So this is 2 different sheets. One has yellow on one side, and then it has the balmy blue on the other side. And so I just mixed and matched them to make a couple of Easter cards. And then finally, I thought, well, we need to turn and do one horizontal. And so I've got the flowers, and I've got kind of a subtle texture behind it. And then I've added the gold foil ephemera to make a celebrate card. So hopefully you guys kind of see how easy this is to do, and we'd love to see your version. So the challenge of the week over in Back Porch Stampers Facebook group is for you to make your version of this card and post it over in the Back Porch Stampers so that we can see your work. So it would be so fun to see what you guys come up with for your faux ribbon cards. So thank you guys so much for all the birthday wishes. That's so sweet of you. This is a wonderful way to spend my birthday. And then tonight, my husband and I are going axe throwing. So that should be interesting. We are taking, let's see here. There we go. There's my face. We're taking my dad. My dad lives with us, and he's never been axe throwing before, and he's not thrilled. He's not looking forward to it, but we're hoping that he'll have fun. And so we're going to go throw some axes tonight. So yes, it could be therapeutic. I've done it before. I'm terrible at it, but it's so much fun to do. So, well, guys, thanks so much for tuning in for Create with us. And I hope you enjoyed this card layout, and I can't wait to see what you do with it. Have a great rest of your day.